Coming up on OU Nightly, I'll have more on this Arctic blast that will bring us cooler temperatures potentially below freezing early next week.
The manhunt for a gunman continues in Maine following a mass shooting there. Plus, an update on the hostage situation in Gaza after the Hamas terrorist attack. This is OU Nightly.
Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Ireland Fitzer.
And I'm Morgan Martin. We begin tonight with a cold front on the way, bringing rain and much cooler temperatures this weekend.
And sunshine today after days of heavy rain, but we are not in the clear just yet.
OU Nightly meteorologist Taylor King joins us live on campus with the first look at that timeline.
Thanks, ladies. I'm actually outside right now in the Soville, and it is very sunny out, which is a very welcome difference from the past few days. Now, with Halloween on Tuesday, we will be seeing cooler temperatures over the weekend, which makes tonight and tomorrow the perfect time to get those last-minute pumpkins for the holiday. Now, tomorrow will be cooler than today with temperatures in the mid to low 60s, and then after 6 p.m., we'll be seeing those temperatures dip down into the high 50s. OU meteorologist Braden Seo has that and today's weather headlines in the studio. Braden.
Thank you, Taylor. And just to reiterate, we do have those temperatures dropping into the 50s tomorrow. So if you do go out to the pumpkin patch, you'll want to bring a coat because it will be quite chilly out there. A definite difference from today where we're seeing temperatures in the 80s across central and western Oklahoma and in those 70s out towards the eastern part of the state. And part of the reason why temperatures across this section of the state are warmer is because we're seeing this humidity drop. So it's allowing the air to heat up more. And where we have those higher levels of humidity, the temperatures are quite a bit lower in the 70s. But coming up later in the show, I'll talk more about an additional chance for some rain, plus that Arctic blast that's going to bring us those much cooler temperatures, and I'll have more on your Halloween forecast. Ladies.
Thank you, Braden. And now to breaking news. There are big changes coming to OU's graduation this spring. The university notified students by email today saying several colleges on campus will not get their own graduation ceremonies. In a statement, university officials say starting with the May 2024 class, it's merging the university-wide commencement ceremony and its 19 separate college convocations, meaning only a few colleges will get their own graduation convocations. OU says all ceremonies will be held at Lloyd Noble Center unless said otherwise, and will include all of the standard graduation procedures like music and the naming of each graduate. The university also planning a new celebration event the Friday before graduation called Party at the Palace. Additional information will be released in the spring. And the spring ceremonies will take place over an 11-day period from Tuesday, May 7th to Saturday, May 18th. Many of the students in the spring of 2024 class are the same students who did not get a traditional high school graduation due to the COVID pandemic.
And fire officials released the new helmet camera footage from a deadly fire last week that killed 2 people at the Penn Station apartment complex in northwest Oklahoma City. The Oklahoma City Fire Department is still working to learn what sparked the flames. And ahead of our first freeze coming this fall, fire crews are urging people to have an emergency plan in place as they try to stay warm.
A manhunt is underway in Lewiston, Maine after a mass shooting in multiple locations left at least 18 people dead. CNN's Mike Valerio has the very latest.
I suggest that you go. We have an active shooter and we're not sure where he's at.
A tight-knit community on edge, a shelter-in-place ordered in multiple towns in Maine as heavily armed officers search for what they say is an armed and dangerous killer.
There is now arrest warrants for murder for this particular individual, Mr. Card. So he is viewed as a suspect, and there is a full court press by all of our partners to bring him into custody.
Police advise that Maine people should not approach him under any circumstances.
Chilling surveillance images released show the moments the mass shooting suspect's deadly rampage began. First at a local bowling alley hosting a youth night for a kids' bowling league, and then traveling about 4 miles to the second scene at a restaurant.
Place to go have a good time and have fun. And then we get somebody's crazy like that walk in and do what they did, you know.
I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg. Like, why do people do this?
According to law enforcement, the suspect, 40-year-old Rob Card, is a military-trained arms instructor who suffers from several mental health issues, including hearing voices, and made threats to shoot up a National Guard base. He'd been committed to a mental health facility over the summer.
Nerves are rattled right now.
Police say loud bangs were heard from the persons of interest's last known home address. We'll keep you updated as the story develops.
As the war in Israel continues, officials are giving more information into the hostage situation. Emery Johnson has that and the rest of today's national and international headlines from the News Center.
Slovakia's prime minister says he will no longer send military aid to Ukraine. Prime Minister Robert Fico says he will also not be supporting further sanctions against Russia. Since July, Slovakia has given 680 million euros to the war-torn country. Fico says the halt is the best solution to the war and that the European Union should change from arms suppliers to peacemakers. The director of the Indonesian hospital is warning Gaza health systems that they are on the edge of the abyss. He says the hospital urgently needs medical supplies and says there is a shortage of medical personnel due to the evacuation of many doctors and nurses following a blast at the Gaza hospital earlier this month. He also says staff has not left the hospital in 17 days. And today, China launched its youngest ever crew to its space station. The crew is heading to space to work on activities outside of the space station. Morgan, Ireland, back to you.
Thank you, Emery. Oklahoma State Board of Education bars 2 districts from allowing students to change their gender status on school records. One student attends Moore Public Schools and the other goes to Cushing. During the meeting this morning, Superintendent Ryan Walters said the decision is what he calls common sense. Walters also added that he believes there are only 2 genders.
And a portion of Main Street is closing tomorrow for the downtown Norman Fall Festival. The closure runs from the train tracks to Porter Avenue starting at 11 a.m. and goes until midnight. The Norman Police Department says all drivers should find an alternate routes and be careful as they expect more foot traffic.
And when OU Nightly returns, the newest improvement in Alzheimer's treatments.
And how soon we could see the vaccine approved by the FDA.
And the small swaps you can make in your diet to help the planet.
Which foods should lower your carbon footprint after this? There may soon be a second way to prevent people from getting meningitis. Darren Curry has that in today's Health Beat.
A CDC committee approves a second option for a meningitis vaccine. The second option will allow patients to get a 2-dose shot instead of a 4-dose shot. One shot would be given during the first visit and another would be given 6 months later. The CDC recommends the vaccine for all preteens and teenagers and some younger children and adults under specific circumstances. And a more convenient way to treat Alzheimer's may soon be available for patients. Drug maker Eisai created the drug Leqembi, a vaccine given as 2 weekly shots at home instead of through an IV. It is the first medication proven to slow the course of Alzheimer's. The company says it plans to file an application for FDA approval by the end of March. And a new study reveals what you eat could impact the world around you. A study published by the journal Nature Food says food production causes about 1/5 of the world's greenhouse gases. It also says swapping beef for chicken or cow's milk for non-dairy options could help both your health and the environment, and with some swaps cutting the U.S. dietary carbon footprint by 1/3. And daylight saving time ends next month, and experts say that means more people could get headaches. They recommend people have migraine pills on hand. Ladies?
Thank you, Darian. If you have student loans, you may be eligible for a free Domino's pizza. The pizza chain is giving away $1 million worth of free pizzas through November 9th. Each day, Domino's is offering 4,200 codes for a free medium 2-topping pizza. All codes must be redeemed by December 10th. And if you want to apply, you can visit domino's.com/student-loans.
And coming up, trunk or treat with a twist.
How a local church is using cars to make change in the community.
And a strong cold front will come through the state this weekend, potentially bringing temperatures much below freezing. I'll have more on that coming up on OU Nightly. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Here's a live look over campus, and as you can see, our skies have really cleared out this afternoon, but hardly any clouds in the sky, and temperatures in return have risen. It doesn't show it on this graphic, but temperatures outside right now are in the 80s, and you can see that here on this graphic. You can see across the western and central part of the state, temperatures are in the 80s. A little bit cooler out towards eastern Oklahoma, Idabel, sitting at around 70 degrees. And taking that wider view across the southern plains, you can see here most of us, especially from I-40 northward, are in the 70s, with areas farther to the south in the 80s, over here towards the panhandle of Texas, also in those 80s. Precip totals over the last 3 days have been fairly high, especially here across central Oklahoma. Areas like Purcell saw over 2 3/4 inches. We saw over 1.5 inches here in Oklahoma City, and looking at the rest of the state, some of us even saw over 4 inches of rain. McAllister coming in at almost 4 3/4, Ardmore with over 3 inches of rain. But unfortunately, that hasn't helped much with our drought. We still have areas of severe to extreme drought here south of the I-40 corridor and up near the Kansas border. Hopefully, coming up this weekend, the additional rain that we get will help to alleviate some of that drought concern. But a big story that we have is this cold front moving through that's going to lead to these very cold wind chills by early Sunday morning. Looking at wind chills in the 30s by then, and then further this cold air pushes through, further cooling our wind chills down into the 20s by the time you wake up Monday morning. So definitely going to be a cold one out there. But before then, we'll have temperatures in the 70s, cooling down into the 60s tonight. And then a precursor cold front pushes through the state. We could see a few isolated showers with that. Temperatures cool, and then widespread shower and thunderstorm activity moves into the state as we head through the day on Saturday, and some of which could be in the form of wintry precipitation. And you can see here towards northwest Oklahoma, places like Woodward and Guyman, you could be seeing a light wintry mix Sunday morning into the early afternoon hours before things really start to clear out as we head into the day on Monday. Now looking at your your lows for tonight, we'll dip down into the 50s here in the metro, some 30s creeping into northwest Oklahoma, with 70s sticking with us into eastern Oklahoma. Highs tomorrow rebound into the 70s for much of eastern Oklahoma, but 50s as that cold front starts to move into the state. And you can see that brings us shower and thunderstorm activity tomorrow and Saturday, and then this strong cold front pushes through, leading temperatures to drop into the 40s for highs on Sunday, and that continues as we head through the day on Monday, with lows dipping down below freezing. So it's definitely shaping up to be a chilly Halloween forecast.
So, Braden, what I'm hearing is we need to bring out our coats and our mittens and some of that heavy winter gear.
Absolutely, especially if you have early morning classes. Temperatures are going to be in the 20s by early next week.
Good to know.
And pushing into the weekend, for those that have those early Halloween festivities starting Friday and Saturday, safe to say they might need to be aware of that weather.
Absolutely.
Cooler temperatures, rain.
If you've got something outside, bring an umbrella.
Okay, and I know that Lakeside Church off of Alameda in Norman is included in that with their trunk or treating that they're doing just a little bit differently this year. OU Nightly's Dustin Leonard tells us what they're doing to add a twist to a much-loved activity.
While it may be empty now, come Saturday, this parking lot behind me here at Lakeside Church will be full of all types of cars as they host a car show complete with prizes, snacks, and even trunk or treating and face painting for the kids. Church member Scott Zimmer is the one planning the show, and his goal is to add a fun, cool twist to trunk or treating that people can't get anywhere else. He grew up restoring old cars with his dad and has several of his own projects today.
Anything fast with wheels, I'm all about it.
Zimmer wants to give kids something cool to look at, as well as giving those who don't go to church a chance to start without feeling pressured.
And make it as easy as possible for the guys that, we're not really looking for their money. We're just looking for a good time as an outreach to give away some prizes, some trophies.
The idea for the car show actually came from another member of the church, Kyle McDonald, who has recently just gotten into cars himself.
We thought, well, why don't we incorporate a car show also involved in it this year? My wife, about 1.5 years ago for Father's Day, she bought me a 77 Corvette, and we've kind of gotten into it a little bit. And some of the guys here have had a car show here before in the past.
If the turnout to the show is good, Lakeside Church hopes to make it an annual thing. Registration starts at noon on Saturday, with the actual show going from 2 to 4. For the kids, there will also be a hayride, games, and a pond to go fishing in as well. Dustin Leonard, OU Nightly.
And the OKC Thunder kicked off their season on the road last night.
And OU softball is back in action after a rain delay. OU Nightly Stone Weber has the full lineup in sports.
OU football travels to the Sunflower State for a big noon kickoff matchup against Kansas. Find out how the Sooner offense is overcoming a big loss. Sports is next. Hello, I'm Stone Weber, and it's time for sports. Oklahoma football rides their 7-0 season into Lawrence, Kansas to take on the 5-2 Jayhawks. But this year's atmosphere will be a little different, as it was just announced that Saturday's game is sold out. This is the 5th sellout under Lance Leipold, and while that may not sound like a lot, KU had 0 sellouts between 2010 and 2018. The Sooners will play the rest of their season without wide receiver Andrell Anthony, who suffered a torn ACL against Texas, but for Jalil Farouk, this motivates the unit.
His injury, he had surgery today, making sure he get his prayers and everything, but our team is always prepared. We have guys that's ready to step up to the plate, and I feel like we played pretty good. Just got to continue to go day by day.
After getting postponed last night due to weather, OU softball's Battle Series is back for its 3rd installment tonight at Marita Hines Field. On Monday, the 7-time national champions defeated the Seminole State Trojans 17-0 across 2 games. After tonight, the Sooners have 2 more Battle Series games this year. OU men's golf is swinging their way into the new season, ranked 6th in Golf Channel's power rankings. The Sooners are in Hawaii this week and looking for their 3rd team title in the Kaanapali Classic, as they won the event last year and also won in 2019. And big news coming from the mat today as OU Wrestling announces they will stay in the Big 12 when the school moves to the SEC in 2024. This decision comes as the Southeastern Conference does not sponsor wrestling. The OKC Thunder opened their season last night in the Windy City against the Bulls, and it was business as usual for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. His step-back 3 over Alex Caruso put the Thunder up 5 early, and this laser across the lane hits Jalen Williams as he buries a 3 before half as the Thunder open their season with a 20-point win, 124-104. Here's SGA on how his Thunder teammates have evolved this year.
For the guys that were here like before, like Josh, Lou, Dub, a lot of those guys aren't labeled shooters, but they work hard and they work on those little things to be a better basketball player, and it ultimately helps me out there.
Week 8 of the National Football League kicks off as Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills host 2017 Heisman Trophy winner Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both teams are looking to get back in the win column as Mayfield and the Bucs have lost 2 in a row, and the Bills were upset last week in Foxborough. Ireland, Morgan, back to you.
Thank you, Stone. After the break, find out how one man's bank visit turned into an overnight stay.
And why firefighters had to wait out his rescue.
I'm Colson Pocock at the OU Nightly Update Desk. Oklahoma City Police seized 25 pounds of cocaine during a traffic stop. Police say they pulled over 40-year-old Romulo Romero near I-40 in South Council. Officers found the cocaine after they say a K-9 team alerted officers to possible narcotics in the vehicle. Ireland, Morgan, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Colson. A man in New York found himself locked in a bank vault for over 12 hours.
The customer was accessing his safety deposit box when employees locked the vault for the night, unaware that he was still inside.
Now the problem, the vault opens and closes on an automatic system, and the fire department couldn't cut through the metal plating to get to him.
By 6 in the morning, the vault finally opened and he was evaluated by a medical team and had no injuries.
Glad to hear he was okay, but quite a bizarre experience. OU Nightly meteorologist Braden Seo joins us with a final look at the timeline of this weekend's cold front.
Braden, when can we see those freezing temperatures?
Well, ladies, it looks like temperatures are definitely going to start going on a downward trend after today. You can see tomorrow we top out around 70 degrees, but once that starter cold front pushes through, kind of the precursor to the bigger one coming through Saturday night, temperatures will fall into the 50s for highs on Saturday, but in the 40s for highs both Sunday and Monday before we kind of start to warm a little bit back up as we head towards the middle and end of next week. But lows will be the big story because By Sunday morning, our low will be 36, but as you can see, we dip down below the freezing mark Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning before we rise again back above the freezing mark for a low on Thursday. And as we look at the 7-day forecast, you can see we've got a rain chance tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. And highs will be the big story here because temperatures will be dropping quite a bit behind that cold front coming through Saturday night. And then lows dip down into the 30s. And by Halloween morning, lows will be in the 20s. So definitely going to be chilly out there before we start to warm things up as we head towards the middle and end of next week. Back to you.
Thank you, Braden, and thank you for watching OU Nightly. I'm Morgan Martin.
And I'm Ireland Fitzer. Be sure to watch OU Nightly weekdays live at 4:30. Good night.